Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Open Matt Show. I am your host, Matt. Oh, shoot. I need to start recording. I'll redo that. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Open Matt Show. We got episode 5. I'm your host, as always, Matt. And, yeah. Oh, echo. And, yeah, I got a fair amount of things I want to talk about today. There's not a notable card, I would say, this weekend. No UFC. So we're just gonna kind of be rambling here about the White House card, potential things like that. Just kind of what's on the dirt sheets, as some would say. So, uh, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not really sure where to start. I feel like I kind of got a list of topics here that I would like to go over. Um, all these are pretty good, but I don't know which one I want to start with. Um, shoot. Sorry, guys. I'm tweaking. I'm tweaking. I got to be transparent here. I hit the pen right before this, and now I'm geeking. Anyways, uh, yeah. I guess what I want to start with is Ilia versus Islam at the White House. Just in general, recently Dana White said that he commented under an Instagram post saying total BS. I believe the post said that it was going to be Conor McGregor versus Colby Covington at the White House, which is fucking crazy. Colby Covington himself must have made that. Um, anyways, shoot. Anyways, Dana White commented on that's BS. This Tuesday, or we're gonna have a meeting and we're gonna settle. Or Wednesday, did he say? We're gonna settle it. McMahon is even flying in so we can decide. So I think later on he also said that the president has signed off on all the fights, and uh, it seems like it's now a matter of announcing them or getting them done, as they would say. So that's very interesting because, as we know, there haven't been a lot of interesting announcements for the UFC, at least this year. The closest we have had to a male title fight announcement is the BMF title, Charles Oliveira versus Max Holloway. So, uh-oh, did my stream stop? No, my stream stopped. Gone. Sorry, a little bit of technical difficulties. Um, So yeah, Donald Trump himself said that Dana White was holding back big fights for him for the card, and so far that seems to be the case. That seems to be true. Like I said, other than Kayla and Amanda, what title fights have been announced for this year? Just the BMF, right? So it really does seem like that they're going to try to load up that White House card, and that's why they're already saying it's only going to be a few fights, a few select fights, probably no prelims, obviously, or anything like that. You're not gonna have fucking Dustin. Unfortunately, no offense, you're not gonna have Dustin Jacoby on there realistically, since it won't be a normal card, I would imagine. Um, but uh, it's been very interesting because you would imagine that they're gonna want to put somebody very big on the card, a big name, big casual name that everybody's gonna know, a John Jones and a Conor McGregor. Honestly, maybe Tom Aspinall at this point. I don't really know. I wouldn't put him in that category. uh, unless you like pair him up with somebody that's also of decent name and value. I think him and Cyril Gahn could be acceptable, right? They both speak English, and that's obviously going to be very important there. I feel like. So unless they have Alex Pereira, he's probably the exception. I think Hamza has a point when he says they don't want guys like him there. But yeah, if it's true what Marab said, they don't want Russians or guys in that area to fight on that card, then it really limits a lot of the options here. Because you don't get Marab, or fuck, you don't get Peter Yan. Wow. You don't get Peter Yan, you don't get Hamza, you don't get Islam, but this is what I'm gonna get to. Uh Islam recently came out and said that he's actually open to the Ilia Topuria fight. Previously, he had kind of shot it down, um, saying, "No, it's not worth it. Like, what is in it for me?" People would say I beat another 145er that came up to 155, like 170, all that. But I think it was earlier today. Actually, he did a quick little interview with somebody. And they asked him, "What do you think of you versus Ilya at the White House?" And he said, "Oh yes, I would. This interests me. If the UFC wants, I would do it." Like he said, he would want to do it. But that's actually all he said. The big question is, does he? Was he thinking 170? Was he still under the impression that Ilia's gonna move up for the third belt, or was he thinking 155? Because realistically, I don't think Ilia should jump weights. If he goes to 170, he's fucked. He's not gonna win at all. He's not gonna have a chance in hell. Oh, but he has crazy power, dude. As a 145er, he's not gonna go to fucking 170. I'm sorry. 155 is his version of Islam's 170. The fight to be was those two at 155. Um, Anything else will just be a complete wash for Islam Makhachev. I will say though, at 155, I kind of have the same view. That might be a bit controversial. Not really. Potential odds. The consensus is they show Ilia Topuria as the underdog. Uh, I don't. I agree with that. Yeah, he has a puncher's chance, especially at 155. He truly does. I do think he has more power than a Volkanovski does, and Volk was able to drop Makhachev at in the fifth round. But honestly, I don't think Ilia makes it that far with Islam. I think Islam honestly finishes him even at 155. Yeah, like I said, Ilia obviously always has a puncher's chance. He can always, yeah, he can always land something big, just like he did against Charles, just like he did against Max, which I feel like Max is the greater example. Volkanovski too, a little bit. Some would say that those fights weren't really going his way. They could have gone a lot better for him up until that point, especially the Holloway fight. I would say it was a lot more noticeable. It seemed like that the oblique kicks were really bugging Ilia Topuria. That that kind of visual uh, of seeing that really like sat with me, and it makes me think like, huh, if these guys had a better chin or something, we could have gave Ilia some real problems. We haven't really seen Ilia go all the way. Which, yeah, he fought Josh Emmett. He got a little hurt against Emmett and all that. You guys know what I mean. We haven't seen him go through the wars that an Islam Makhachev would have. And yes, listen, Volk is like my go at 145. I don't care what people say. Holloway was up there too for a while, and it was impressive what Ilia did to them. But I think Islam Makhachev has, uh, I feel like he's faced more adversity, I would say. Yeah, people like to point to Dustin Poirier, like, oh, Ilia would have knocked out Poirier. I don't know if I fully agree with that. I think Poirier would give Ilia a lot of issues, actually, stylistically. Poirier's pretty good with boxers. He's good at handling them because when he fights like strikers, he'll box them. But when boxers once they start to outbox him, he makes it dirty and does a real good job of that. I think he could give Ilia a bit of problems. And a lot of people love to point to uh, the issues that Islam had against Poirier, so to speak. I think, in my opinion, that was Dustin Poirier's best performance ever. He's never looked that good. He truly left it all out there. That was his like, this is it. This is my last chance. If I don't get this fucking belt, it's over. Like he shouldn't have even really been there in the first place, in my opinion. But whatever. I'm kind of alone in that. Uh, I think that Bust I think that Dustin Poirier would have given anyone a lot of issues. Dare I say Ilia? Maybe that Dustin Poirier could have been Ilia. But pretty much, as weird enough as it is to say, I don't think Ilia Topuria is proven in the ways Makachev is. You could say, yeah, he faced adversity when he fought Jai Herbert, and he got kicked in the fucking face and knocked down. Um, that I guess that is true, and he ended up look how it ended for Jai Herbert. But these guys aren't Jai Herbert. Islam Makhachev has shown that he is currently the best, in my opinion, the best mixed martial artist walking alive. I do believe he's above John Jones. Like if you were to put them at size parity right now, I think Islam would just destroy Jones. And that's for a lot of reasons. Jones is older and things like that. But technically, prime for prime, that's a different story. But technically, that in my opinion, that makes Islam the best mixed martial artist walking on the earth. Uh, that being said, uh, if Ilia were to knock him out, that would be just fucking huge. Like I don't know how I would feel about that because when Ilia knocked out Volk, I I kind of still have this opinion. I feel like Volk is still better than Ilia, weirdly enough. I don't know. I feel like once Ilia loses, he won't be able to bounce back. Once people find his weakness, whatever that may be, um, everybody will be able to beat him. I don't think his career will age as well as Volk's will. Well, you could argue him knocking out Volk, and then Volk going on the run he does now really helps Ilia. That's besides the point that I was getting at. Uh, sorry guys, I'm tripping. Ilia, holy shit. Sorry guys, hold on. I'm sorry, I thought that was crooked. Anyways, fuck. Anyways, Ilia Taporia, I think weirdly enough, I still think Volk is a lot better than him. I don't know why. I don't think his career will age as well as Volk's will, in the sense like I don't think he'll be able to bounce back in the same way. He hasn't proven himself, in my opinion, to be properly uh, like a mixed martial artist. Yeah, Greco-Roman background, and he was submission guy for a while, but like we haven't really seen him grapple fuck somebody the way Islam has, right? So to just assume that he can go with Islam's grappling, I feel like is ridiculous. I'm not sure if I believe that. And again, like I said, Ilia always has the nuclear option, his right hand, his hands. But Islam's getting better and better. I feel like each fight he comes out, he gets better. And in that Poirier fight, Islam really pulled out the primal fighter. Like he was, I'm not fucking losing, and he pulled some moves out of his ass, and he got the victory. I don't think we've seen that from Ilia yet. We haven't seen that at all. Um, and it's just really hard for me to go against Islam right now. A lot of these guys were the ones supposed to beat. These guys were the ones that were supposed to beat him, but he none of them have. None of them have. I do think the Oliveira win was very, very impressive by Ilia. I do, but the grappling exchange just really left a lot to be questioned. It left a lot to the imagination, and it makes you wonder with how we saw Islam do Oliveira on the ground. What would have Islam done if he had that leg? What would he have done against a cage like that? Right? I'm sure Islam is used to grappling smaller guys like that. Uh, but who knows? Who knows? The Georgian versus Dagestani wrestling. I know that's kind of like a rivalry thing. It would just be the ultimate thing to see. I think it would be massive for the White House. Uh, as we know, Ilia Taporia has announced that his court issues are done. They reached a settlement. I don't really give a fuck about the details. But he said he's ready to come back May to June, wink. They're probably going to put him on the White House. Realistically, it's going to be him versus Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje is an American. What are the odds of him getting absolutely fucking slept and the American gets slept in the main event on the White House card? That would be high if they matched them up. It would be a questionable matchup, in my opinion, if the goal is to showcase America. Um, but Justin Gaethje is the interim champ. There really isn't a world where you could bring Islam down right now and have him fight Ilia Taporia for the White House without absolutely hoeing Justin Gaethje. Truly, there really isn't a way. Unless you tell Islam you are going to defend that 155 belt against Justin Gaethje after, I think that's the only way. But they're not going to hold up the 170 division with everybody that's there right now. Michael Morales. I was going to say Sean Brady. Not anymore. Not Shavkat either. Ian Gary, Kamaru Usman, all the Joaquin Buckley's resurfacing, all these guys. I'm not sure if it'll happen. I would love to see it. I think they need to make this fight when they can. Everyone's saying it's a super fight. And I somewhat agree. I got to be honest though. I'm not sure if like Islam versus Ilia is as big as a lot of people say it is. I truly don't think so. It's massive for us fight fans. Don't get me wrong, but and Ilia is huge. But just from with my casual friends, like I said, this is all anecdotal evidence. But I have some friends that are massive casuals to MMA, and they don't really know anything. They don't really care for anything other than the real big fights, real big fights. I'm asking them, do you know Ilia Taporia? They know Islam because of 3 years Dagestan meme, whatever. But when it comes to Ilia Taporia, they really don't know him. at all. They're like, yeah, yeah, I think so. They nod yes, but not really. Ilya isn't really that big here. It really isn't. Yeah, he knocked out Volkanovski. Yeah, he knocked out Max Holloway, and those guys are uh, pretty big in their own ways, but they were never like massive. They didn't transcend the sport. I would say maybe Volkanovski is now within a certain audience, but realistically, Max and Volk for the longest time never transcended the sport in terms of their popularity. I would say, which has, like I said, Volk is Volk is definitely kind of proving me wrong right now with the way he's doing all these movie things, cooking with Volk. That's real successful. Good for him. Um, but yeah, you guys know what I mean. You guys know what I mean. Volk was hated for a long time before this, but it kind of begs a question. Ilia Topuria is supposedly the biggest star in the sport aside from Alex Pereira. I would say it's Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira is well known, um, is well known, but I'll get to it. Um, all of this begs a question: has MMA fallen off? The reason I ask this is, like I said, one of my casual buddies, he told me, "Yeah, MMA fell off." I was like, "What the hell?" I was like, "What do you mean? They just signed a $7.7 billion deal, a $1 billion a year deal. Paramount, Epic promos now. What the fuck are you talking about?" And he said, "Man, I just haven't heard anything. So that good." And I started thinking about it as kind of like ignorant and like out of tune with the industry and all that might have been. Uh, he kind of hit a nail on the head. There really hasn't been anything of note announced that's happened. Maybe Patty getting beat up, but I would even say Patty wasn't even as big as a lot of people thought he would be. Um, it I was really thinking about it, and maybe MMA has fallen off. The biggest stars now, I would say, were the biggest stars like 10 years ago. And what I mean by that is like the universal headlines, a tweet that gets like 30,000 likes. And the reality is, Pereira pulls that off and once in a blue moon. Um, the ones that get the big likes are John Jones getting burned by Dwight Howard at a fantasy or at a flag football game. Conor McGregor tweaking out, dancing with a little person, things like that. Um, those those are the level of stars that I'm referring to, and there's a lot of reasons for that. One, the pay per view model is just dead, right? It's not coming back. Maybe for special events, um, but they're not going to want to build stars in the way they used to. And of course, there's always the theory, which I believe is just fact. They don't want to make anybody as big as McGregor anymore. They don't want somebody to have that much negotiating power because I mean, look how hard it is to get him to fight now. They don't ever want to deal with that again. Imagine having a bunch of McGregors under contract. It's fun when they want to fight for you, but they're gonna eventually demand what they're worth, and that'll be a lot of money. That'll be a lot of money that they just simply clearly aren't ready to give up. Uh, and because of that, I do agree with my buddy. I think the sport has suffered a lot. I wouldn't say it's fallen off completely. We're definitely kind of weirdly enough in a dip. The Paramount era is what's like carrying the momentum into all of this, but it's starting to die down. It's starting to kind of fade a little bit. Okay, Paramount, it's cool. We sell the ads, new Apex, that was cool, but what? How many more hats can they pull out of their? How many more rabbits can they pull out of their hat? How many more tricks can they pull out of their sleeve? Um, that it's starting to fade pretty much the novelty of the Paramount, the novelty of the blue. Um, so they need to make some announcements. They need to do something. Like I said, they haven't announced any title fights this year, other than I guess the BMF, which come on, nobody really cares about that. Well, the fight's good, but nobody really cares about it. The title itself. Uh, and Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes, that was the only real title fight. And who knows when that'll be? Who knows if Kayla Harrison will be ready for the White House card? That's what I thought at first, but after seeing that nasty scar, I don't know. I don't know. That seems very tough to simply get over. I would imagine just for sanitation reasons, you have to stay far away from a training room. So hopefully, we can at least get that for the White House. I think that's kind of like a no-brainer for it. Yeah, it's a woman's fight, but you know, a lot of people know Emmanuel Nunes. That's like a weird middle ground of how big the stars are today to how big the stars were back then. Kind of almost like a little bit lesser than Ronda Rousey, but like people know her. I feel like same with Cyborg actually. Like if you're older and you're around back then, you would just recognize those names. If somebody brought it up, I would say. Um, so I think having her against like a gold medalist Olympic, like the fact that you could say that about Kayla and her story and everything, that alone would just be huge. Uh, yeah, I think they really need that because really, like, what fights could they put on there? And yeah, like I said, Trump himself said that Dana is holding back fights for this card. Um, and it really seems like it. It really seems like we haven't had shit announced. Nothing of interest really at all. Uh, but yeah, I guess we'll see where this goes. As for the question, has MMA fallen off? I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say so. It's definitely kind of in a like I said, other than the Patty beat down, I would say the novelty of the Paramount era has been kind of carrying a lot of the quote unquote hype into this new era. But you know, the Mario Batista Lock Dog fight, as good of a fight it was, um, that was still the apex, right? Um, it was still the apex. The novelty, it was kind of a snapback to reality. The novelty is hitting us, or is fading away. We're starting to realize that this is still the UFC. We still need big fights to look forward to. We still need, yeah, just something to strive towards. That's always the best part about these things. Where in a few months I can't wait for this fight. Clips and clips are dropping, building up into it. Hell, I think for one of the fights in like a few weeks, one of the opponents on the main card is TBD. How the fuck do you have a? How do you not know who the opponent is for somebody 2 weeks out? That is crazy, and it makes you wonder what the hell is going on. I don't know. Uh, I like I said, I wouldn't say MMA has fallen off at all. Um, I think 2026 is going to be a very good year for it, actually, particularly towards the end of the year. I just have a hunch. Um, but I would just say it's in a dip right now. It seems like it should have blasted off already. Just started to really gain momentum, but it hasn't. I would say give it a few more weeks. If we're back here next week and we have nothing, then maybe we could start to get a little concerned because that's halfway through February, halfway through the first quarter of 2026. Yeah, like, and with nothing announced, that would be pretty fucking crazy. So I don't, like I said, I don't think it fell off. I disagree with that. That's what I told them, but the UFC needs to play their cards right here. They had a great opportunity. They still do have a great opportunity with this Paramount era. At least, like I said, this is all anecdotal. I'm not an expert or anything, but all my buddies are kind of paying more attention to it just because it's on Paramount. They're seeing ads for it, stuff like that. They can't fumble that back. They can't fumble that back. First impressions are huge, especially in this media day and age where people have short attention spans. You need to hook them quick. It needs to be clean. And we need something to look forward to. There needs to be trailers for fights. They need to announce something a few months away and build up to it with a bunch of commercials. Uh, so yeah. Hopefully we get Ilia via Islam. I'm not sure um, because Ilia, like I said, Ilia is the biggest star supposedly, other than Alex Pereira. I think Alex Pereira is the biggest star in my opinion. But Ilia kind of has that crossover appeal, I guess. I don't know why. I guess he was talking shit on Canelo, which is weird because Ilia is a lot smaller than Canelo. Sorry, let me drink my water. Oh my goodness. Anyways, I guess Ilia has that crossover appeal because uh Shakur Stevenson, for whatever fucking reason, called him out. I don't know why. I kind of think that's weird. I mean, obviously it's easy money. Ilya is a big enough name. He's seeing how much money is just in the MMA versus boxing gimmick. But it's like, man, the shit is played out, dude. I don't want to see Ilya Taporia get pieced up by Shakur Stevenson. I don't want to see it. And that's what would happen. That's the truth. Ilia is probably the best boxer in the UFC. I can agree with that. But he's not a boxer. He's an MMA fighter. And 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 that's a sorry guys, I got a notification saying I'm muted. What the fuck? I don't think I am. Nope. Anyways, um and that's not going to help you in boxing as an MMA fighter. You develop different habits. Clearly, you got to watch your elbows, stuff like that. So, um, man, I'm fumbling this. What the fuck? Anyways, yeah, Shakur Stevenson, fuck Ilya Taporia up. I wanted to bring this up because I just want to put my opinion out there. I'm fucking sick of these. I do not want to see UFC fighters go try to fight boxers anymore. Um, and it's kind of pathetic for a boxer to try to pick on a UFC fighter. Come box me. Come box me. Like, why would you do that? That's so weird. Um, what you do is call them out to MMA and then say, I'll do it after I box you. That's what you do. And they just never fight them in MMA. But yeah, I don't know what the fuck Shakur's doing. Looking for a money fight, I guess. Wants to fight under TKO, it seems. And I honestly, that's kind of what I picked up on it. Maybe I'm just looking too much into it, but he wants to like be a TKO guy, encourage these crossovers, things like that. Um, so another thing about it too that I kind of want to bring up um, about Shakur and Ilya is this is gonna sound like very weird, but I just think they're kind of different caliber of athletes, and what I mean by that is uh, MMA athleticism is like MMA isn't dependent on athleticism, which is who am I to say? Sorry, I'm not a fighter. Let me disclose this. I'm not a fighter, nothing like that. But from what I've seen, um, there's a lot of there's a lot more into it than just straight athleticism. It seems I should put it like that. For example, Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy should have dominated, but he didn't. Uh, he lacked a lot of things: the skill, the precision. He had the power, and he was in one of the worst divisions ever, and he still got relatively far, but he couldn't go all the way. So clearly, you need a little bit more than that. There's been a big argument on X started by Wade Plim on whether if real athletes came over to MMA, they would just dominate. To a degree, he's right. I mean, he's straight up right. For me to say like athleticism isn't important on MMA, obviously it fucking is. It's not. This ain't the movies where Mr. Miyagi is gonna teach you some resonance diversion technique where you fucking deflect the punch and uh, you know all that crap. You know, like Kung Fu Panda, right? They're not gonna teach you some shit like that where the little guy takes down the fucking three big dudes surrounding him. That'll never happen. I'm sorry, I'm tweaking. Um, I'm about to edit that shit out. That was an absolute tweet. Hopefully nobody joined in. How many concurrent viewers? One. Thank God. Whoever is watching. Um, I really, really, really hope you didn't see that. Anyways, um, pretty much what I think is he's right. Obviously, athleticism is very important in MMA. It helps with everything. If you have faster twitch muscles, if you're bigger, if you're stronger, that'll always help, right? But that's not the ends all be all. MMA is really interesting because we've seen a lot more athletic people lose to less athletic people clearly, and that happens relatively often. We see fighters lose all the time in fights against people that they shouldn't. Hell, it even happens in boxing. It happens a lot less in boxing because the tool set is so limited. It is very, very dependent on how fast you could get there. If you just get there quicker and stronger than the other guy, you'll be fine. Whereas with MMA, there's a lot more chances for flukes, a lot more chances to mess up, and a lot less room for technique. Dare I say, if your opponent wishes there not to be. A good example of boxing would be Anthony Joshua, Andy Ruiz, obviously. Yeah, well, it's boxing, anything. Yeah, but like, come on. Anthony Joshua is obviously a different caliber of athlete than what Andy Ruiz is. That's why that's why Anthony Joshua whooped his ass in the rematch. However, Andy Ruiz was just so locked in. He had the mental fortitude, and to a certain degree, once you hit a certain level of power, you have power. It doesn't matter if you're heavyweight or not. And we kind of saw that with AJ and Ngannou too. Chin or not, once you get above 265, kind of anything goes. Uh, in MMA, I'm trying to think. There's a lot of examples where like a fucking Bisping versus Luke Rockhold. Bisping is on the level of caliber of athlete that Luke Rockhold is. Straight up, anybody can agree with that. I'm sure he would agree with that. But he knocked him out all the same. Luke or not, that really wouldn't happen in boxing. That would never happen in boxing. A one-eyed guy catching a dude like Luke Rockhold, that just wouldn't happen. Um, so right, another example, Jamal Hill. He was a fucking basketball player that started at, what was it, at 19 or something, and he became a world champion. Obviously, the higher weight classes are a little bit they're a little bit different. They're a little bit different, but Jesus. Once you get to those lower weight classes, that's where it's more skilled. But even then, I feel like it still applies there. Yeah, you had Henry Cejudo in the past, Olympic gold medalist and stuff like that. But where are those guys now? Daniel Cormier has hinted that he's going to start training them in MMA, and they're going to come over and dominate. But until then, we just have these Russian guys and all that are obviously really good athletes. It'd be dumb for me to say that the Russians, Dagestanis, are not good athletes, but you guys know what I mean. NFL level caliber, NBA caliber, just from like the stats alone, like wingspan, height, things like that. Those guys are different breeds, right? Olympic level athletes of all kinds. We're seeing less and less in that in MMA, and I somewhat do agree. Yeah, if quote unquote real athletes came over to the sport, they would probably dominate, but not right away. They just can't come over. Like Max Crosby, he was saying he thinks he could maybe become heavyweight champion. Maybe at heavyweight, but like even if it were at light heavyweight, I don't think he'd be able to do that. Uh, MMA is slowly starting to become like its own thing. I think Cejudo versus Talbot was kind of an example of that. You have some fucking pole dancer defeating one of the youngest Olympic gold medalists ever in a tough sport. Yeah, Cejudo was washed up and all that at that point, but like you would have never guessed that he was what he was in that fight based off of how Talbot did him. And it just makes you realize that it doesn't seem like there is a set method formula for MMA. To a degree, a lot of that can be up to chance, but really as much as you let it. So yeah, athleticism obviously is very important, and yeah, NBA, NFL level athletes, if they came over, I'm sure a lot of them would really uh, succeed. But I don't think right, a prime LeBron James, if he had like how many months of training, could he be like a Tom Aspinall? Maybe he could, maybe, but we don't know. We haven't seen these guys be hit. We don't know their mental fortitude. Some people don't like to see blood. That's a real thing. Yeah, these are all tough guys, but it's completely different. We don't know how their hands would hold up. We don't know these things. I'm sure a lot of them would succeed, but yeah, yeah, I would like. The point is, I somewhat agree with the sentiment that MMA athletes aren't like the top of the world caliber athletes. I wouldn't put them up there, but they're definitely athletes. I think it's dumb to say that they're not, that they're just like bum fighters. At least at 155 and below, roughly 170 and below. Once he gets to 185, it could get a little dicey. I know Hamzat's there and all that, but uh, only one guy can only hold up a division for so much, right? Uh, but yeah, I mean, I don't really know why I was ranting on that. Oh right, yeah, Wade Plem. Yeah, they were arguing. He was arguing with a lot of people on Twitter about that, on how good NFL athletes would do. I mean, he was using the clip of John Jones getting dusted by Dwight Howard at a like football game, and seeing the way he ran. Yeah, he's not lying about having arthritis on his hip. That's absolutely true. And there does bring up like there is a good point. John Jones was like the runt of his family. He was the smallest of his NFL Super Bowl ring holding brothers. They were fucking huge. So because of that, John couldn't do football. Couldn't go to the same level that they probably could have. So kind of a niche sport, MMA, and he fucking did what he did. Went on the run that he went on. Um, and just the fact that this is so like weird to say, but like it's almost the runt of an NFL level litter was enough to become the GOAT, the greatest of all time at the sport. Steroids or not, whatever. Come on, right? We all know. It makes you wonder what a proper young NFL level guy in his prime would do if he came to the UFC. It makes you wonder. People say it's Gable Stevenson. I don't know. I don't think we've seen enough. He definitely has the potential, the body, the wear for it. But we need to see him fight somebody legit. I think Ngannou would be a good potential beginner bout, weirdly enough, because he's either as good as he says he is or he's not, right? Give him a few more like bum fights. I'm fine with that. But we got to see him in there with someone soon. I'm not a full believer yet. Not completely. Not completely. I got to see him get hit. I got to see him get hit. But yeah, I would just call them more specialists than anything, like a real good MMA fighter. Like I said, once you get to the lower weight classes, it's a little bit different. Um, but like as a whole, the heavyweights and higher weight classes really hold it, really hold it down. Pull the whole thing down. Um, so make sure let me know what you guys think. Obviously, I'm sitting here talking shit. I couldn't cut it. I can't cut it. Doing that. Uh, I have seen the Tom Aspinall eye surgery. Yeah, that shit was. I, I'm gonna be honest. I was never like a hater, like you should have fought and all that. Um, but I didn't think it was gonna be that bad. I to a degree, I did think towards the end he was kind of hamming it up as like a fuck you to Surreal Gone. Um, like I thought he was kind of playing the game a bit, which I was like fair play, like fuck him, right? But seeing that picture where his eyes were red like that and bloody, that was hardcore. That was hard fucking core. Uh, I didn't realize it was that bad. So I won't judge him. No hate for me. If he takes the time off, but I will say if somehow they get Jones versus Pereira at the White House, I think you got to get the interim belt at least. I don't think they should strip him. That would be wrong in my opinion. Um, but give him at least put up a belt for if you get Jones versus Pereira. They might strip him if that's the case, because clearly the UFC, at least Dana, are a little bit annoyed with them, um, at least a little bit. So yeah, I would love to see him back in there soon, though. Uh, my heart was like thumping when he was fighting Surreal Gone. Truly, that was very exciting to see him like just get hit and to see his face bloody. I really wanted to see him. I agree. I agree. I actually thought Jones was gonna come back. I kind of thought, honestly, I had a theory for a while that the fight was signed against Alex Pereira. I don't know why. It was Pereira. He wrote Jones next or something like that on the tire. And this is after he said no White House, and I thought it was just kind of like um, hinting, winking, kind of leaving all that little clues. But once John Jones said like the arthritis thing, I was like, whatever. I was okay. But then you see him run at a flag football game, and he's like limping. He's like, doesn't look, it looks like he doesn't know how to run. It made me realize I think he's fucking legit. In my opinion, I think Tom should get a bounce back fight with Waldo, the McNumber 1 contender fight with Pereira versus Gon. Gon doesn't deserve instant title shot. I agree. I agree with that. Normally, yeah, Gon shouldn't get it, but realistically, they're probably gonna give it to him, especially if they want to put Tom like on the white, which he's not fighting on the White House. I would imagine with how fucked up I don't know anything about that stuff, but with how fucked up the eyes looked, I would imagine he's not gonna fight anytime soon. So that's really dependent on if Waldo doesn't fight. But yeah, I don't know if they'll do that. I don't know if they'll do that because to a degree, this made the Gone Aspinall rematch like a lot more interesting. A lot more people will want to watch it. They could really market. Uh, Tom could be like, "This motherfucker gouged my eyes out. fuck him. I'm gonna whoop his ass. That's a good selling point. I mean, um, I don't think the UFC would risk that by not like Waldo would beat him, but I don't think the UFC would kind of waste the return of Aspinall if you kind of time that up with like a UFC London card or something against a Gon. That could be some massive scenes there. But I wouldn't be mad at it. Honestly, I don't think Waldo is gonna uh, last that long because I feel like Waldo will want to stay active and fight again. But I don't think I don't know, man. I always think Waldo's gonna lose, but he keeps winning, so I can't really be too mad at that. But I just don't think he's that good. I thought Derek Lewis should have beaten him, and I still do think like a lot of the top heavyweights would destroy him. Like a Gon would absolutely melt him. If anything, I would say Pereira versus Aspinall as the comeback, and then you do Gon versus Waldo as kind of like punishment for Gon. Like you don't get the instant rematch. But my point is, I feel like if for Tom's return, it has to be big. It has to be big. It can't be can't be like a layup because I imagine he'll be headlining a card. In other news, Craig Jones is signed to grapple with Dylan Danis. Weirdly enough, if you guys have seen that, I mean, I'm not gonna spend too much time on this, but I think it's pretty cool. Uh, weirdly enough, I don't really mind Dylan Danis too much. I don't know. I think it's interesting that he's just always popping up everywhere and getting attacked. I think it's fucking funny. So I don't know. Both guys are very entertaining to a degree online. So I'm pretty curious to see how that plays out. I'll be keeping my eye on that. I think you guys should too. That's kind of why I'm bringing it up. There might be some interesting scenes there. Interesting scenes there. But kind of reminds me, I've been a big fan of these like these silly, goofy fights and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys know about 1 minute scraps, Dan Hooker's 1 minute scraps, Dr. Socials. I think it is technically 1 minute scraps. It came up on my YouTube, on the Mac Life, and it is the most craziest shit I've seen in a long time. Um, it really reminds me of bum fights back in the day. For those of if you know what bum fights is, uh, it's pretty interesting. I mean, I'm not gonna get too much into what bum fights is. It was pretty gross, I guess you could say. But it was random motherfuckers fighting. So pretty much what this 1 minute scraps is, uh, they get a bunch of random dudes from New Zealand. This guy, Dr. Social, puts up $100,000. They put on MMA gloves, seemingly boxing rules, except clinch work allowed. No elbows or anything, but and you only have 1 minute. And these guys fucking go at it. They go in there and just start swinging, and it's just like gross, I should say. Um, and the craziest thing about it is like there's no ring or anything. Everybody is just like building a circle with like their teams and all that. Um, the ref is so serious, which is kind of cool. Like it adds to it. Camera work is shaky. After every fight, there's this polite clapping. You feel there's a dude out cold on the fucking ground. And they're pulling names out of a hat to see who fights who. So it's some real like funky shit that I'm gonna be for sure watching going forward. I had a blast watching it, surprisingly. I liked how fast paced it was. I like everything was a minute. And I just kind of wanted to shout it out. Normally, I don't like stuff like that, but I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty cool. Um, Kind of reminds me as well. I gotta stop saying that of BKFC. Arlovsky, he had a great win. Um, I don't really have much to say about it. I feel like we all knew he was gonna win that. He's in solid form, but this combined with the Jack Doherty thing that he got into, and his obviously like crazy fucking story, how he's had like a million lives and then keeps coming back. Um, it's very good for him. It's just a very good feel good story. Especially if you know him, if you've been following him for a while, if you're aware of his career, it's very cool that Arlovsky has gotten as far as he has. Like it's cool that he's just kind of having another run. Um, you don't really see that often, and it does. It is interesting that bare knuckle that a lot of former UFC fighters are having a lot of success in bare knuckle. Um, I don't know. if it's the format, because like we've seen them fail in other MMA promotions and things like that. Maybe it's the rule set, maybe it's the no gloves. I don't know what it is. It could be the skill level, but that's obviously a big part of it. But it is interesting. It seems like bare knuckle is like the place for MMA fighters to go kind of fizzle out their career. Those who can't really compete in the UFC, but they still got shit to do. Darren Till, if it weren't for Misfits, Darren Till would probably be in bare knuckle right now, tearing shit up realistically. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's I think that's very interesting. Uh, I feel like yeah, honestly, given enough time, honestly, I think we'll see Volkanovski there for a while as well. Uh, shoot, I'm kind of sorry, guys. Anyways, yeah, I feel like we'll see Volkanovski or somebody there. Well, Volk probably won't go, but guys like that love to fight, I think we'll see them there. I'm surprised we haven't seen Jose Aldo there. I thought he was gonna end up going there for a second. Um, but yeah, uh, yeah, I'm gonna be honest, guys. I kind of blew through my topics here. Um, I don't really have much more to go over. I already talked about Ilia v Islam. I mean, maybe I could talk about what I think, who I think is gonna fight on the White House card. I said I was gonna discuss that. Oh my gosh, Jayo Pataya versus Brandon Grant. Goofy me, man. Man, I'm tweaking. This is gonna be a short episode, bro, because I am just bugging. I am bugging this episode. Um, anyways, Zuffa Boxing announced that they're gonna have Jayo Pataya versus Brandon Grant for the Zuffa Boxing belt, which is interesting. It's kind of a different way than how they said they were gonna do it. Originally, they said they were just gonna sign a champion and just give him the belt to kind of add legitimacy to it or whatever. But now they're actually just straight up putting it up for grabs. Brandon Grant, he's all right. It's hard to find stuff on him, um, unless I was tripping. But Jayo Patai should beat him. But the fact that it's going to be up for grabs and Jayo Patai has to fight for it, as little as it may seem, that adds a lot of legitimacy. The fact that there's a belt going to be held in the middle of their face off, stuff like that. Um, it would have been that way anyways if Jai had the belt, but it really adds to it, I think. It's just an interesting step, and it makes you wonder about when Jai Opataya said, "Oh, when he first signed, he said, "Oh, I'm going for undisputed. Let's unite the belts." I've always maintained he just accidentally said that, like that's just a habit, right? Um, and I feel like I'm kind of being vindicated by that. I mean, the fact that he's fighting for this belt, I feel like he's kind of aware. The fact he doesn't automatically have it, he seems aware that it's ring only now. It's gonna be the ring slash Zuffa only belt. I'm still not sure how that's gonna go. Given enough time as well, Terrence Crawford is gonna fight for Zuffa or TKO. I guess mark my fucking words. It's gonna happen. Lately, the sanctioning bodies they have been bugging. You would think they would be on their best behavior, considering that there is a solid company with solid backing on their ass right now that wants to just destroy them. They've been open about that. Um, but they're just beefing with Shakur, beefing with um Terrence Crawford. And whether they're just or not, whether then that's been the precedence of having fees and stuff like that all the time. Like if they've always taken this much of your purse, why are you trying to cause an issue now? Regardless of that, they need to be on their best behavior because you're having these guys over here. Listen, guys, our marketing is a lot better. You're gonna have to go through all this bullshit, and you get to get all your money. It's really, really hard to go against it, especially when they work with Turkey. If you get some of that Turkey magic in there, I think it's over, man. Um, the fighters have nothing but good things to say about Zuffa. The ones that are involved in it, they're saying they're treated better than they've ever been treated. Zuffa's gonna be big. It's a really big thing to look out for this year, and I'm really excited for it. Um, but yeah, that's really all I have for this episode, guys. Like I said, I'm kind of tweaking this episode, man. I'm kind of tweaking this episode. I'm gonna be honest. Like I said at the start of the video or episode, I took a blinker, and that was a mistake on my part, a grave mistake on my part. So I'm gonna be ending a little bit early today. Uh, because I really don't have anything to say. I am going to be uploading a video on Friday that I'm working on. So stay tuned for that. It involves the old UFC events. So um, even though we don't have UFC this weekend, stay tuned on that. Um, also, uh, yeah, just like, subscribe, share with your friends. We're a real small channel. Every interaction, every view, everything goes a very, very long way here. And I really do appreciate it. I really do appreciate all of you that have tuned in, that have commented, interacted. Like I said, all of that really helps me out. Love talking about this sport. I really do. It's very fun. There's nothing out there like combat. So, like I said, we're live every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Thanks for watching, guys. See you.